Get ready for a Super League showdown filled with intriguing possibilities. Can Antalyaspor's formidable home record capitalize on Trabzonspor's unprecedented injury crisis? Or can the visitors, despite missing key pillars across the pitch, somehow find a way to salvage a result? Prepare to uncover the crucial data points that could shape this fascinating encounter. Antalyaspor looks set to line up in a 3-4-3 shape, focusing on building play through the middle. They excel at creating chances with incisive through balls and are generally effective at protecting a lead once ahead. However, finishing those chances has been a struggle, and they've shown vulnerability defending against swift counterattacks and set pieces. Trabzonspor, likely opting for a 4-4-2, are potent from set pieces themselves and rely on individual brilliance. Yet, they've found it difficult to prevent opponents from creating opportunities and are susceptible to long-range efforts. So, can Trabzonspor exploit Antalyaspor's defensive frailties, or will the home side's creation problems blunt their attack? And this is where the plot thickens significantly for Trabzonspor. They face a crippling injury and suspension list that could drastically impact their performance. Crucially, both first-choice goalkeepers are sidelined. On top of that, they're missing a string of crucial defenders, key attacking threats, and a vital midfielder through either injury or suspension. This forces them to field a makeshift defense and significantly reduces their attacking firepower. Antalyaspor also has a few players out, including some long-term absentees, but their situation pales in comparison to the crisis engulfing the visitors. How will Trabzonspor possibly plug these gaping holes? Looking solely at the league table, there's a stark contrast. Trabzonspor sits comfortably in 7th place, while Antalyaspor is down in 14th. However, the location of this match tells a different story. Antalyaspor boasts a respectable home record this season, turning their stadium into something of a difficult place to visit. Trabzonspor, on the other hand, has struggled significantly on the road, winning only a couple of games away from home all season. This major disparity in away form for Trabzonspor compared to Antalyaspor's home strength is a critical factor to consider, potentially overriding the league position difference. Antalyaspor's recent overall form has been challenging, marked by several losses, particularly when playing away from home. Their performances on the road have consistently fallen below par. However, their recent home results paint a slightly different picture, albeit a low-scoring one. They managed a recent scoreless draw and secured a narrow 1-0 victory on their own patch. This suggests that while winning hasn't been easy, their home games lately have been tight affairs, often featuring very few goals. Their struggle remains winning away from home in this recent run. Trabzonspor's recent results haven't been much better, featuring a mix of draws and losses. This sequence included some tough fixtures against strong opposition. Interestingly, their most recent league games away from home have both finished as draws, 1-1 and 2-2. While they recently had a thrilling high-scoring 4-3 victory at home, their away form feels more cagey. A recurring theme in their recent matches is conceding the first goal, often doing so within the opening half. Will they fall behind early on the road again? Diving into the general statistics from recent games reveals some clear patterns. Antalyaspor, especially at home in this small sample, has been scoring very few goals on average. Trabzonspor scores more but also concedes significantly more goals, particularly in their recent home fixtures. However, it's worth remembering that all their recent away games in this snapshot ended in draws. Antalyaspor, in contrast, won half of their recent home encounters shown here, drawing the other half. These numbers hint at a potential low-scoring tendency for Antalyaspor at home versus a more open style elsewhere for Trabzonspor. Historically, Trabzonspor has generally had the upper hand in this fixture. Looking at the last 6 meetings, Trabzonspor secured 3 victories, while Antalyaspor managed just 1 win, with 2 matches ending in draws. There was even a recent heavy 5-0 win for Trabzonspor that demonstrated their potential dominance. But here's where it gets really interesting, especially for potential first-half bets. Look at the first-half results head-to-head. Trabzonspor has absolutely dominated the opening 45 minutes against Antalyaspor, winning the first half in 5 out of their last 6 meetings. Antalyaspor? Just 1 first-half win in the same period. Does this strong first-half H2H pattern hold true for this match? Delving deeper into the head-to-head goal statistics reinforces the historical trend. Trabzonspor consistently scores significantly more goals overall against Antalyaspor. This pattern is even more pronounced when focusing on the first half. Trabzonspor has a history of scoring many goals in the opening 45 minutes when facing Antalyaspor. Conversely, Antalyaspor scores very few goals in the first half against Trabzonspor. Defensively in these encounters, Trabzonspor has conceded few goals in the first half, while Antalyaspor has been more vulnerable. This strong first-half goal disparity in past meetings is a significant pattern to note. When we look at player heights, Trabzonspor holds a slight edge in average height among their defenders and forwards. Antalyaspor's goalkeeper is fractionally taller on average. The most significant difference, however, is once again in the midfield, where Trabzonspor players are notably taller on average than Antalyaspor's midfielders. This could be a factor to watch, potentially giving Trabzonspor an advantage in aerial duels in the central areas or during set-piece situations. Comparing the average ages across the teams doesn't reveal huge differences overall. Both sides feature defenders averaging around 26 or 27 years old, and their forward lines are quite similar in age profiles. However, one area stands out: Trabzonspor's midfielders are noticeably older on average compared to their counterparts in the Antalyaspor midfield. While perhaps not a deciding factor alone, this age difference in the engine room could subtly influence stamina or experience levels as the game progresses. Based purely on average player ratings over the season, Trabzonspor appears to have slightly higher-rated players across the defense, goalkeeping, and midfield positions. The forward lines for both teams have roughly comparable average ratings. While these are season-long averages and don't account for current form or injuries, the ratings suggest that, on paper, Trabzonspor's players have performed slightly better overall across most areas of the pitch this season. However, remember the key question: how much do these season ratings matter when so many highly rated players are missing for Trabzonspor in this specific match? For Antalyaspor, key individuals making an impact this season include one player who leads the team in both assists and key passes, proving to be a vital creative force. Another player has been strong in aerial duels and chipping in with important goals. One individual has also frequently earned Man of the Match awards. For Trabzonspor, their top performers include the league's leading goalscorer, a player boasting double-digit assists, and a key creator. However, and this is crucial, many of these standout Trabzonspor players mentioned are among those missing for this match due to injury or suspension, severely impacting their potential attacking and creative output. Looking at areas of potential concern based on negative statistics, some Antalyaspor players commit fouls frequently or have accumulated a high number of yellow cards. One defender even has an unfortunate own goal to their name. For Trabzonspor, certain players also stand out for committing lots of fouls. One defender has registered multiple own goals this season, highlighting potential defensive lapses. A couple of players have also received red cards, indicating discipline issues. These statistics point towards potential vulnerabilities or players who might be prone to picking up bookings during the match. Analyzing when goals are scored and conceded over the entire season reveals some fascinating patterns. Antalyaspor has shown a tendency to score most often just before halftime and then again late in the game. Interestingly, they also concede heavily just before the break and then midway through the second half, roughly between the 60th and 75th minutes. Trabzonspor scores frequently in the second half, particularly between 50 and 60 minutes and then late on. They also concede most often in the second half, particularly between 60 and 70 minutes. Notice the overlap. Both teams appear particularly vulnerable in the period just before halftime. Finally, let's look at the likelihood of seeing goals based on seasonal data. If you're looking at total goals markets, both teams have a strong tendency for matches finishing with over 2.5 goals. Around two-thirds of Antalyaspor's league games and just over 60% of Trabzonspor's matches this season have featured 3 or more goals. The chance of seeing at least 2 goals in total, over 1.5, is very high for both teams based on their seasonal averages. This suggests the potential for an open game despite recent low-scoring home form for Antalyaspor.